here today in Tokyo Pen Shop Retail, and I have Michael from Clutch Situation.
Hello.
I will link his YouTube channel below.
Thank you.
He is do you call yourself an expert, mechanical pencil expert?
Oh, I am so not an expert.
Historian?
I'm interested in the history and aesthetics and working of mechanical pencils, yes.
So you're a mechanical pencil enthusiast.
That would probably be the most apt thing to say because my
Okay.
industry is not pencils. I'm not an industry insider.
Sure. I feel like you know way more about pencils than I do, so I would consider you an expert.
Thanks.
So the first thing I want to know is why, of all of the writing implements, do you like mechanical pencils the most?
That's a great question because people like all sorts of things, right? We like pens and we like fountain pens and we like stationery, and so what is it
Well,
about?
and the wooden pencil people. Have you seen how freaky they get?
Good point.
The smell, and just they get really excited when they're sharpening
Let's
them.
talk about Dixon Ticonderoga, shall we?
Okay.
Right? But I know it goes much beyond that. But amongst teachers, Dixon Ticonderoga is one of their most preferred brand that's available at retail. Mechanical pencils for me, I respect a tool that's designed to accomplish some annoyance in human life. And so you're like, I don't want to get up and sharpen a pencil.
Yeah.
I don't have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was in middle school, I first started getting into mechanical pencils, and for me, it was all about I have something that's unique, that is an extension of me, and it appeals to my analytical nature of being able to, I'm not going to sharpen a pencil, I just click, 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 and then I can keep going, and I don't have to do anything else. And what's really interesting about this is that there was then this 15, 20-year period for me between when I was a middle schooler to very recently, in which I did not bother with writing utensils at all, and I think it's because the big push in education was technology, which technology has been a huge benefit to us, and it's made my job so much easier, but it promised a lot of things that I didn't feel like they were able to deliver on, like mostly electronic scribing is what I'm referring to. And so I have a lot of projects that I'm working on, curriculum work that I'm doing, and I just got to a point a couple years ago in which I said to myself, I'm an adult, I like mechanical pencils, I want to look back at what it was like when I was in middle school, and then of course it just spiraled out of control and turned into a blog on WordPress, and then eventually this YouTube channel, Clutch Situation, that I've been doing for a couple of years now. And I've been investigating and reviewing mechanical pencils since 2015 on the channel. And what I get out of it is not only a stress reliever for me, and so I want people on my channel to understand that I'm doing this for stress relief, and the instant that it is no longer stress relief,
You just won't
you know, I just won't do it anymore, you know, but I'm having a really,
to be a job.
exactly, and it is not my job, you know, I have this whole other professional job that I work with, but within my professional job, I get a huge advantage of working with mechanical pencils that I like. Both aesthetically, I match whatever pencil I'm using on any given day with whatever shirt and tie I'm wearing on that day.
So will you go through your collection folders and decide?
I will go. You know what? They're right over here. So let's just pull it out, okay? And so I will go through my sharp collection. Whoa! Okay, and I'll be like.
Maybe you should hold it up and can they see that?
Well, here we go. Hey, come on in. And so I'll look at my collection on any given day. And I'll be like, I'm wearing school colors today, and so I'll pull out the red and black sharp, and I'll go to town on it. And so,
do you have anything in your collection that you feel like, oh, I can't use this, I want to keep it pristine? Like that, is there anything in there that you feel like is, oh, this is just for collecting, I can't use it?
There's one, like, the vintage Pentel erasers with the green compound will be the ones that I tend to try not to use because these are vintage and they can't be replaced. So that would be an example. Now, the pencils that I really like, I use them, and my perspective is always like, how can I mess this up so people can see that I've loved it? You know, and it's been part of my collection. Are there ones that I tend not to use? Yes. Like the more expensive ones, I will tend to be really guarding of like, should I take this out in the open and risk losing it? And I have lost very expensive mechanical pencils before that I regret. Like pencils.
I know a lot of teachers lose their implements to students.
And this is why with my students I go in tiers, not tears as in crying, but levels. And so wood case pencils are always available for them, and then they can be awarded mechanical pencils through a program that I use called the Natural Science Achievement Award, that when they do something really great in the classroom, I recognize every single one of my students once per year with something awesome that they do, and I gift them a mechanical pencil for it. And then my personal ones, they don't get to touch.
Okay,
so there it is. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I got into mechanical pencils, and I've been running with it ever since.
Now, when you were in middle school and first interested in mechanical pencils, were you interested in the actual mechanisms? Did you look inside your pencil and think about what materials are being used, or was that more something that started as an adult?
Never even considered it when I was in middle school.
Okay.
And I'm a science teacher, okay? And I'm also very much interested in engineering, and I've gotten more and more interested in engineering over time. And so when I got back into mechanical pencils, I said, not only do I want to look into what I wrote with in the past, but I also want to investigate, now that I'm an adult and can afford things that middle school couldn't afford, you know? Or now that I live in a larger city, I grew up in a really small town, West Bend, Wisconsin, and whatever was available at the retail stores, what was available. But now that we have access to the internet, and now that we have access to larger communities, I've really been able to explore this space of what, for many people, is a very large grouping of kit that they can work with.
Right. So are there any features on mechanical pencils that you would consider rare features that you think should become more standard? Does that question even make sense?
That's a great, I'm just, as a question aficionado, I appreciate the depth of that question. Shall we say that?
I think Frank might have helped me with that question. I can't.
There is an art and a science to questioning.
Yeah.
And so the answer to the question from a scientific perspective is that, different strokes for different folks. Different people like different things. I think examples of features that have been developed recently that different people have latched onto is anything that can make a mechanical pencil pocket safe is something that people is going to direct their eye to the pencil. Anything that has an extendable eraser people really like, because they don't like to have to carry a dedicated eraser with them often. They just want to have it there and be able to switch it around. And then there's a whole bunch of different mechanism features, especially that have come out recently, that people are very interested in. And of course, I'm thinking of the Kuratoga mechanism, I'm thinking of the Delgard mechanism, the Mogulaire, double clutch mechanisms of various sorts. People are getting back into the twist mechanism, which was very popular in the earlier periods, like 40s, 50s in mechanical pencils. People are getting back into that. And so there's all sorts of features, but those ones I think are probably ones where a lot of people would key in on the feature themselves. And then of course I think enthusiasts are also looking for quality. They want something that's going to last over a period of time. They want something that you could hit with a nuclear weapon and it will survive.
Oh, is there any such?
There is not, but from a joking standpoint, that's what we want something that's going to be tough, that you're not going to sit on and it's going to crumble into pieces. So
It just, other ideas of pencils that I wonder if you have tried keep coming into my mind as we have this conversation, so I'll try not to get sidetracked on pencils. But I would like to know if you find using the pencils more pleasurable or collecting the pencils. Which do you get the most excited about?
Both.
Okay.
But there's a limit to what I can collect. Of course, as a public school teacher who is not made out of money, I do have to make decisions about what I'm going to collect and what I'm going to collect. And so one of the decisions that I've made is, what do I want to collect en masse? That would be the Pentel Sharp series, because it isn't broken. The mechanism is wonderful. it's an injection molded piece of something that there's nothing wrong with. And it's a utilitarian design. It works, and since it works, yay, we're excited about that. And so that's an example of something that I just enjoy collecting sharps, but I also enjoy writing with them as well. And then I've become a better professional as a result of doing this hobby. I mean, I've always been looking to improve myself. We talked a little bit early when I first got to Fairfield today about how you come from a family of educators and a family of driven educators, which I think is worth mentioning because there's different people treat their professions differently. And there's many dedicated school teachers that are out there. And as a school teacher, I'm always looking for ways to improve my craft. And what I've found is that after this technological period in which I was being encouraged to take notes technologically, to scribe via electronic means, do it on a tablet, do it this, and that works for a lot of people and I'm happy for them. It just never worked for me. But this in the hand always worked for me. And I think I fought it for like 15 years. Like I sort of felt like I have to fight this because as a modern individual, I'm obligated to go with the technology. Well, there's a working piece of technology right here. So a really great mechanical pencil, I get a thrill out of writing with it. Okay, and that sounds creepy and weird, and I don't mean it that way.
Everybody who watches my channel will understand.
Right, and I watch your channel, and I understand because I'm watching your videos, and I'm like, Kimberly likes the heck out of writing with that right now, you know? Because you get this feeling, you're like,
it's really hard to explain it.
Well, I'm going to endeavor to try, and I'm going to go with like it is an anxiety reliever. That I mean, there's stress all around us and different things that we do in our lives, and anything that is an anxiety reliever, you know, this is why I think we're sort of going back to print books as a culture. There was some statistic that I had heard recently on the radio that for the first time in a decade, print books were once again outselling digital books. And there's nothing wrong with either of them. But it's sort of like culturally we're going back to this like these old methods of doing things. Maybe for those of us who are older, but I see plenty of younger people who are also latching onto those older vintage, so to speak, aesthetics, you know? So for me, definitely both. I like the collecting aspect of it. I love limited editions. I'm all about that. But at the same time, it's gotta feel great in my hand, and there are definitely mechanical pencils that don't, and I don't invest in those, and you know, I don't collect those. I don't collect mechanical pencils that I don't see myself using.
Right. So you're not collecting just to collect and to get like your collection as big as it can be. You're collecting ones you really like.
I would say that my spouse appreciates the fact that there is an actual reason for my collecting as well. It would be
and that the item is actually useful.
Yes.
And it doesn't just sit and gather dust on the shelf somewhere.
I go through a rotation. I wear all sorts of different colors. I'm like, what is the perfect pencil for this situation? You know, and people notice it, right? People notice it. They're like, oh my gosh, you're wearing an orange shirt and you're using an orange pencil. And I'm like, that is by design, my friend.
So. I was feeling orange today.
Right, exactly.
So my next question we've kind of already talked about a little bit, but I think I'm just going to ask it as I originally intended, which is I noticed that in I think it was your most recent top 10 video, Kurutoga didn't get any place in there.
Yes.
And so I was going to ask you if you like the Kurutoga, if there was a reason it doesn't show up on your top 10. And you can just talk a little bit about what we talked about before.
Sure. No, there are two pencils that I get more comments on my channel than anything. And it is, why don't you like the Pentel Graph Gear 1000, and why don't you like the Kurutoga as much?
Right.
I mean, I don't hate either of those pencils. But there are aspects of them that bother me. And for mechanical pencil enthusiasts, the big controversy behind I would call them creatively engineered modern mechanisms, okay, if I could be so bold. And those are, you know, the lead cushioning or the mechanisms that are designed to solve a problem. For the Kurutoga, it's designed to solve the bevel, the natural bevel that happens with mechanical pencil lead, so you don't have to keep rotating the pencil. And then with the Delgard, it's lead breakage, you know. Spongy feel, like it feels like you're pressing it into a sponge, is a thing for mechanical pencil enthusiasts. And I can't speak for artists or architects or engineers or other groups of professions that are more likely to use a mechanical pencil compared to another one, but a consistent theme that I've seen amongst enthusiasts is that there are two groups. And one group is, I like the feature of the Kuratoga and it accomplishes something that I need to have accomplished for me. And the other group is the Kuratoga and any of these mechanisms where the lead sleeve can move introduces a spongy aspect to the writing that bothers me and I don't like it. So those are the two groups for the Kuratoga, and I happen to be in that second group. I prefer more of like a rock solid, it's like an extension of my arm sort of thing. And then I'll just go ahead and mention the Graph Gear 1000 is that for me that's just heavy, you know? And the fact that it's heavy is the big issue for me. And so for Kuratoga, for me, not a fan simply because of the sponginess of the mechanism, and as a result of that, I prefer to have something more solid. Now that being said, I have many Kuratogas in my collection. And it's not one that it bothers me so much that it prevents me from collecting.
Right. And you did seem to like the Kuratoga roulette.
I will be purchasing the Kuratoga roulette today.
Yeah, which I think you picked in gun metal or gun
Gun
metallic,
metal,
they call it.
And that's appropriate because the thing is like a tank. And I prefer a mechanical pencil that is like a tank.
Yeah.
So
people really like that color over the silver. I mean, like way more people pick it.
Silver drafting pencils are ubiquitous. They're all over the place.
Right.
And so I think
So it's
for a
not
lot of
unique.
people, yeah, it's not as unique. And I think it's fair to say no matter what kind of writing utensil you want, uniqueness is a factor, I think, for a lot of people. We want to speak through our writing utensils. And whether it's speaking from an aesthetic perspective or whether it's speaking from a more analytical, functional perspective, we're sort of speaking through our writing utensils.
So because we import almost exclusively Japanese implements, I'm wondering which of all of the Japanese mechanical pencils that you've tried do you like the most?
We're going to go there, aren't we?
And it's okay if it's a
I'm going to go with a
retired...
line. Yeah, I'm going to go with a line, and I'm going to go with I'm a Pentel guy because Pentel has had a fabulous mechanism for decades.
Okay.
And that's always my go-to. If I had to pick a brand, I'm going to go with Pentel. And then there are a ton of Pentel pencils that I really like. In terms of what has most impressed me as of late is the work that Zebra is doing with the Delgard line.
Okay.
For sure. The ER.
Zebra is trying really hard.
And I think they're succeeding.
In the,
you know?
the pen realm too, not just the pencil realm. Zebra keeps impressing me. I wish I had named my dog Zebra and not Pilot. Like really. In fact, that's a great dog name.
Well, it is. They're both great dog names, to be fair. Yeah. No, I've really been impressed. Like the Delgard EL, Delgard ER, and the Delgard LX, which I just tried out today, was really impressed by. I think that Zebra is making some spectacular decisions, and so I've really been impressed with them.
Yeah, they're trying really hard. So my final question is, which mechanical pencil would you be most likely to gift to somebody? And it doesn't have to be a Japanese mechanical pencil.
Sure.
I stumped you. I should have said that.
If I were going to really want to make a statement to someone as a gift, I would gift them a Rotring 600.
Okay.
For sure. Now, Rotring pencils are currently manufactured in Japan because Rotring is owned by Sanford now. And we were talking about earlier how Sanford has gobbled up a lot of different companies, and Rotring is an example of a brand that Sanford has gobbled up. So if I were to...
Rotring was German.
Rotring was German.
But when it was German, did they manufacture in Germany?
They manufactured everywhere.
Oh, okay.
For sure, I know that they manufactured in Germany, in France, in the UK.
Okay.
I want to, maybe not UK. let's go back. France, Germany, and Japan, for sure. I know those
Okay.
3 places they were manufactured when they were still held as a German company.
Okay.
You can go on the web and find out all sorts of interesting history about rope ring and people trying to piece together, you know, what the history of the brand is. And so as far as I know, currently all rope ring models are manufactured in Japan.
Okay.
And so if I wanted to make a serious statement to a really good friend of mine or someone who I knew was a really good enthusiast, I would gift them a rope ring 600.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell my viewers about mechanical pencils?
Well, what I want to tell your viewers is what I like about Tokyo Pen Shop. And as a consumer, what I think Tokyo Pen Shop, and we did not discuss this before this video, I want to point out at all.
Yeah, should I be scared?
No. I like the Tokyo Pen Shop as a small business. I like the personal effort that you put into communicating with your customers, which is not an easy thing in this day and age. And I like your brand that you have access to writing utensils that we would normally not be able to get access to here in the United States. I can purchase any of the products from Japan, but I'd rather have my dollars go to a small business here in the United States. And so having that sort of like middle ground go between of someone who has a lot of experience with the Japanese market and speaks Japanese and is also an enthusiast and is sharing that enthusiasm with their customers, I really appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you. I really appreciate having you as a
Sure.
customer.
It's been a fun
It's
one.
really exciting for me to actually get to meet my internet customers in person.
Right, absolutely.
Well,
Great.
thank you so much.
My pleasure.